I'm Adam Epstein. You're listening to AWadd Radio here on the new Sports Radio 910 The Fan, now at 105.1 FM. The top 10 AP poll for college basketball right now has Arkansas at 10 and 1 on the season. Alabama at 9 and 2. Tennessee at 8. Texas at 7. Virginia, even after the loss to Houston, in the top 10 at number 6. Arizona at 5. Kansas at 4. Houston at 3, 2 is UConn, and number 1 right now in the country at 11 and 0 are the Purdue Boilermakers. And joining me right now to go around college basketball on the Hadid Mercer Rug Cleaning Hotline is Marcus Washington from Making the Cut with Mook. Mook, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, it's going great. Happy holidays, my man.
Absolutely. Hey, before we get into some of the local teams and go around the ACC, what's the deal with Kentucky and Coach Calipari this season? I was talking to a buddy of mine that he is a huge Kentucky fan, and he was saying that people are not happy with Calipari right now, even though next year he's got the number 1 recruiting class, but it's like he's taking the season off this year almost.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Kentucky's buying into that one-and-done culture, and they're not really getting the right kids in that mesh together. They play like a team that has about 3 or 4 different agendas on there, and they're not always engaged defensively. Offensively, at times you see them getting stagnant. And when it comes down to it, Calipari is judged a lot in March, but he's also judged when they have those signature big games that are on national television. And of the last couple of years, he's just not winning those games. I don't know if he needs to change the way he recruits, or is it a situation where the one-and-dones are going against teams that have 22 and 23-year-olds, very, very experienced teams. But you're right. Right now, he does not have a pulse on this team, and I kind of feel like we've seen that the last few seasons.
Mook, you also have Duke outside of the top 10, and they're coming off of a loss, sitting at 1-1 in the ACC after losing to Wake Forest 81-70, and it just doesn't seem like it's the same Blue Devils team as it has been in the past. I get it. Coach K isn't there. Coach Shire has taken over, but do you expect the Blue Devils to be a team that threatens people come March?
I have to see Duke fully healthy. Last night in their loss, they didn't have Lively, they didn't have Whitehead, and those are 2 young guys, but they're 2 young guys they certainly can use. But I don't know what to expect from this team. They don't shoot the ball particularly well, and you saw that happen last night, and then you think, well, it's Duke. If they're not shooting the ball well, they'll defend well. They were abysmal last night, especially trying to defend the paint. Wake Forest got off to a great start because they were throwing the ball in the paint, and it opened things up. And even though you can argue that one of Wake Forest's best players, Tyree Appleby, didn't shoot the ball well, he got to the free throw line 14 times. I mean, no one's going to cry for Duke if Wake Forest is going to the free throw line more than Duke is. But that really opened it up. And then Cam Hildreth, the sophomore, who kept getting hurt and kept coming back. I mean, he put in 16 points and 9 rebounds. He was tough as nails. This Duke team has a lot of flaws. Like I said, from the three-point line, they don't shoot the ball well. And you can't have it both ways in college basketball these days. You can't struggle on defense. You can't have your opponent get to the free throw line more than you do, and then you can't shoot the 3-ball either. That's a recipe for disaster. But I'm going to hold off from burying Duke right now until I can see this team fully healthy.
Joined by Marcus Washington. Follow him on Twitter at MTC with Mook. Mook covers college basketball in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area. Mook, I'm sure you watched that game last night. UVA at Miami came down to the wire, and Coach Larinaga's boys came away with a close victory, 66-64.
Yeah, I don't know where UVA's offense has gone that we saw in the beginning of the year. The first 7 games, they shot almost 75%. I mean, they scored almost 75 points a game, shot 48% from the field and 42% from 3. And starting with that James Madison game, I don't know what happened, but the last 3 games, it's down to 60 points a game, 39% from the field and 25% from three-point line. And it's more than just that the last 2 nights they have faced tough defensive teams. I mean, Miami is very long. Their length did bother UVA on offense, but they had wide open shots that they're just not making right now. Maybe it was a little hangover from Houston, but the one thing they can hang on to, as poor as things might have gone last night, 2 things happened. We saw We saw they have a chance at the end with Beekman, who had the nice drive and just lost it off of his thigh. And you saw Vanderplas kind of wake up and show what they thought they were getting when he first transferred there. And I thought interesting, my big takeaway from last night's game was that Tony Bennett went with McNeely and Dunn near the end, like trusting the young guys near the end of a tight ACC game on the road. And you wonder if this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a hard-fought game, and you're right. Maybe there's a little hangover from the loss to Houston and Miami's. I mean, a top 25 team. Coach Larinaga has, maybe the best backcourt in the ACC with Wong and Miller, and Wong was impressive again last night. 7 of 13. He's just so efficient. 2 of 3 from deep. 24 points to go along with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. And so, look, I'm going to just chalk it up to, man, UVA. Miami's really good, and they're my pick to win the ACC regular season title. Virginia, now, where do they go from here? I get it. You have an easier game against Albany next, but then some tough opponents coming up with Georgia Tech, Pitt, Syracuse, and North Carolina.
Go back to what you did in those first 7 games. You have a great defense. Obviously, it's top 25 defense in the country. At the beginning of the year, their transitioning from defense to offense got them a lot of easy baskets, and they were able to attack teams in transition. What I saw in the James Madison game, along with the Houston game and along with last night, even when they're getting stops, they're walking the ball up the floor, and they're not getting the pace that they got early on in the season where they beat some darn good teams pushing the ball up more. I think UVA has to push the ball up more on offense and understand that they have to win games in the ACC, playing them in the 70s. And, yes, the three-point shooting has to be better than it was last night. You can't have McNeely making one shot on 9 attempts. They just got to get better offensively. I think they can get better offensively if they use their defense to play faster.
Follow Mook on social media, MTC with Mook. You can also visit his website, mtcwithmook.com, to read his work covering college basketball here in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Virginia Tech on the road tonight to face off against Boston College. The Hokies have won 7 straight games. They're already 1-0 in ACC play after defeating North Carolina on December 4th. What do you make of tonight's game at Boston College?
Cannot fall asleep at the wheel. That has got to be the big message tonight. We know that Boston College has struggled home, away, whatever the case may be. You got to take care of business. It's your first true road game, and sometimes, as Duke found out last night, when you have your first true road games, the thing is a little bit different. But Virginia Tech is such a veteran roster, along with Sean Padula. Everything starts with Padula. He comes in tonight. He sets the tone for this team. Hey, look, we know we're playing a bad team that's probably going to finish at the bottom of the ACC, but we're here to take care of business. We're going to start on the defensive end, and then offensively, I'm going to get, Justin Mutt started early. I'm going to get Grant Basile started early and just get this game to the point where Boston College feels like they're never in it. If Virginia Tech takes care of business, that first 20, 25 minutes sets the tone, like I said, especially on the defensive end. They should be able to take care of this in short order tonight.
Mook, great stuff as always, man. Follow him on Twitter at MTC with Mook. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man.